Whew. Hey everybody, this is Real Estate Horror Stories number 2. If you got any stories, I need some for next week, so if you could email them to me, text them, whatever you got, padenfairbanks@gmail.com. But let's just kind of jump right on into it and go with the first story from, let's call her T-Dub. B and I are first-time home buyers. We have never ever gone through the process. As novice Zillow users, we wanted to see a home. We clicked contact agent and set it up with this agent. He responded very quickly and showed up on time and was incredible to work with. All good things, right? Well, B and I decided to maybe just see what else is out there. Realtor shop, which is okay. Just because we didn't have anything to judge against. This is where everything went horribly wrong. We found another home on Zillow and clicked the same contact agent button. This introduced us to a gentleman we will call S. He was extremely pushy and a fast talker and wanted us to sign papers we didn't understand, like right now that second. He was super late to the showings as well, very greasy used car salesman. He actually made us giving up looking all together for a while because it was such a terrible experience. I think that that's really standard. If you find a really good real estate agent, you should still talk to two more, but make sure you sit down and have those large conversations and just realize there are just a lot of really bad real estate agents out there. And they should be explaining everything in depth or have the ability to explain everything in depth. If they can't do that, there's two reasons they wouldn't be willing to do it. They don't want to waste their time. They're trying to get a sale as quickly as possible, or two, they don't understand it. And either one of those things is bad. The next one we tried was a family friend. This fella came up with 4 or 5 great excuses why he couldn't make to any of the times we scheduled, and they completely ghosted us. In between those two gentlemen was a lady who was recommendation that we worked with for like a second because it was not good. We didn't actually work with her. We worked with someone who worked with her, and he showed us a few houses and was personable. But after I created a list of all the houses I wanted to see, they told us to slow down and to start going to open houses. Basically do their job for them. Yeah, I mean, that's another tactic as well. If you start getting agents that are selling, 50, 100 homes a year, or even 30, and they've got a team, there's a lot of times where they're just going to shove off a lot of work on their team members, and their team members don't care as much about all of it because they're getting leads. And so if you find a really good agent on a team, 100% use them. There's nothing wrong with that. But just always be aware. Agents should be showing you houses comfortably, typically. After 50 houses, after 20 houses, maybe you just double check that you're on the same page for buying houses. But other than that, they should be showing you houses. While we were being ghosted by the family friend, we immediately reached out to this guy, the original agent for the house that they were looking at, to use him strictly as our realtor. It has been awesome ever since, and we thoroughly regret not just sticking with him. This agent, you are the best. Thanks for being there for us. They found an agent that was really good. They tried to realtor shop. It didn't turn out super well. It's a super common thing. When you're looking for agents, once again, you're looking for two things. You want them to communicate well, and you want them to have the skills of being a really skilled real estate agent. But, okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, this is another buyer. So I posted this on a Facebook page, and I got some responses. We were looking in Salt Lake City initially, but didn't feel like paying above a certain price point that Salt Lake City realistically had exceeded. So our realtor showed us a place in the range we gave her, and it was right next to a literal pyramid some dude was buried in as part of some strange local religion, and the home itself was the craziest hoarder home I've ever seen. That is really wild. That's one of the wild things about real estate, though, is you don't know about like houses and the history. Everybody looks at a house and they see what that house is and what it's been doing for the last 10 years and stuff like that. But there's homes, if they're from 1950, they've got 70 years of history. That land has 70 years of history and all sorts of craziness that could have happened. So super crazy to hear that story for sure. This next one's from TR. Our inspection of our purchase in 2018 was falsified. The looser inspector was a friend of the seller, and he used pictures from 2007 on his report. Ooh. Not to mention he was not even in the state for the date of the inspection. I didn't read everything clearly to notice any descriptions, so granite countertops, flooring that was in the report, but not in the home. The previous owners remodeled in '08 and ripped that all out after major plumbing failure. The house is also uneven, sunk, due to no water mitigation around the home. Yeah, you see that a lot. No actual working gutters. They pressure washed the moss growing on the roof too, and then lied about the age of the roof. The owners then, during the buying process, made it next to impossible to do our final due diligence. Literally had to threaten with police. Oh. After we closed, when we were able to actually assess everything and notice all the problems, asked some lawyers and insurance, and there was absolutely nothing I could do. Now the property values and taxes are up, and literally we can't afford to fix any of it because of the economy. I still want to fight the previous owners, like physically, because they literally ruined our first buying experience and family financially. Ugh. That's what's really hard about buying a house in general. When you're buying a house, you're buying it in the condition that it's in. And it's really hard to go back and try to sue or go after the sellers. Unless you can specifically prove that they were hiding stuff, it's a really hard thing to do. And so be really diligent on your inspections. Always hire a third-party inspector. Even if you have a buyer that solely represents you, is a great way to go, just because it makes it so that you've got somebody in your corner and only in your corner, and makes it harder for them to hide stuff. And then also hiring a really honest real estate agent. Super important as well. So I also wanted to throw some real estate agent stories in here, because I always think it's interesting just people hearing from the perspective of a real estate agent. So on one of the Facebook pages, we're going to call her DD. When you call me to tell me about your offer and state that you'll go way over asking price, but want the seller to paint the entire condo in a light shade of gray, and you want the seller to replace all appliances, and I explain to you why that likely won't fly. The seller's 91 years old, has no family or support system nearby, and exactly what is she going to pick out the color your buyer agrees with the appliances that meet your buyer's expectations. Yeah, very true. And to make this point very strongly, but you go ahead anyway and ask for it. Why then are you surprised your offer didn't fly? I'll tell you this. This is just one example of knowing you are working with an inexperienced agent or one who only works with buyers. In both cases, they tend to fail at seeing anything from the seller's perspective. And I will add, best offers in the world to me are submitted by an agent who works with both buyers and sellers. They tend to get it. One last tip, pick up the phone. If your clients love the property, let the loan officer know, or the listing agent know. Develop rapport from the beginning. Make the agent want to work with you and your client. It's your time to shine and rise to the top. The only thing that I have to say about this is two pieces of it. Listing agents can be terrible. Like, there's 16-year veterans that say like crazy stuff sometimes, or just don't get documents signed, or once it's all closed, they come back and ask you like 2 or 3 questions, acting like they've been in the business for 15 years, but they're just really inexperienced or bad at their jobs. I'm not 100% sure. And then also, you can't always build a rapport with the listing agent. Half the time, the listing agent doesn't pick up their phone. And so if you are doing the best that you can as a buyer's agent and the listing agent's just not helping you out at all, what do you do? The post is very interesting, and in this perfect case scenario, absolutely all these things are super true. Pick up your phone, make sure that you communicate what the expectations are, and if they don't work, whatever and whatnot. But I'd say 90% of the time, it's not going to be this perfect case scenario. You're going to have a listing agent that maybe responds, but the sellers aren't willing to negotiate at all, and their home's overpriced. Or you're going to have a listing agent that won't respond at all, but the sellers are super desperate to sell. So I appreciate the post, but real estate is not this simple, nor will it ever be. That's why it's good as well to use somebody that's bought and sold houses so they understand both sides of it. But saying that this agent's inexperienced, it also could just be a veteran who's not very good at their job. It's 50-50, either one of those. Okay, here's another kind of real estate agent horror story, and this is a newer agent. So I've been in the business for 3.5 years. You could still consider me a newer agent. This is somebody who's kind of who's similar age as me, maybe a little bit different situation. So I've been in the market for 3 years. I think we've sold 48 homes or something like that. I could double check it, but this is their experience. Hello all, I have been an agent for 2.5 years. The first 2 years I did okay. Closed 7 transactions each year. It was just what my family and I needed to help us stop living paycheck to paycheck and be able to breathe a little bit. Well, this year I have closed 1 transaction, so I now have a side gig that is quickly turning into full-time, which is not what I want. My question is, when you don't have the money to market yourself or go out and do things that could possibly introduce you to people, how do I meet people and build those relationships for future clients? I do open houses all the time. The market has shifted so much in my area, and all I'm getting is looky-loos. I go to free events like car shows, farmers markets, etc. Many people have told me to join a church, but I don't want to join a church for the purpose of meeting potential clients. That feels icky. I don't have the funds to pay for a referral company or really even send out postcards or housing updates for the farming areas. I love helping people find their future home. I consider myself a buyer's agent. The journey is so amazing and I love assisting with that. I'm open to suggestions. Thanks. This year has been especially, the year of 2023 has been especially hard on real estate agents and loan officers as well. There's 20%, there's 25 or 20% less sales happening in the state of Utah, and then there's like 20% less inventory on the market as well. And so you've got less homes being listed, and you've got less people buying homes. And so that's less work in general for real estate agents, like 20% less work. So you've got some real estate agents that are still selling 50 homes a year, who're sucking up a large chunk of that work. Then you've got agents like me. I sell every year. I sell like 10 to 20 homes, so about like that. And then you've got people who aren't doing active. I would assume they're not doing super active lead generation stuff like social media or YouTube videos or whatever and whatnot. And you have to really be doing it continuously. And so I don't really, the advice for this guy is you got to give it time. You got to keep working. I mean, I've only been in it a year longer than you, so I don't have the best advice. But this is also so that people can kind of understand this is kind of what it looks like to be a real estate agent. And a lot of people join the industry think that they're going to sell them $2 million in houses super quick, and it just never works out that way. So it's a good thing to kind of ponder, and this gives you a kind of a glimpse into what it looks like being a new real estate agent, especially when you're not selling houses. But let's go to, I think I had one more. Okay, this is the last real estate agent story, and it's from, let's call him AM, and one of the groups that I'm in. Okay. Anonymous because the other agent is in the group. How would you handle? Got a listing mid-May. I sold the house to them in July of 2022. I told them I was nervous about the listing because they hadn't even made the repairs they received credits for when they had bought. So it was going to be tough to break even. On top of that, they had started new projects, but didn't finish them, like painting, flooring, etc. And they had big dogs they refused to take with them for showings and would put them in a kennel where they would bark the entire time. The barking dogs is one of the worst things you can have during a showing. People hate it, and it makes your home look like crap. Mid-June, the husband files for a divorce and moved out. So I was told to only send showing requests to my wife. We had been in a group chat. Wife declined several showings, and the few showings we did get had negative feedback. I reached out to both of them and said I felt we should put the showings on hold and make the repairs needed so it would help show it better. They agreed to put the listing on hold. I got them in touch with several contractors, but they told me they'd have to do the repairs themselves because they had no money. Also very common in real estate. I reached out 2 weeks later to see how it was going, and the wife said due to schedules, it would likely be September before they were ready to take off. No big deal. I get a text tonight from the wife saying the husband wanted to use an unbiased realtor to sell the house. Oh yeah, getting sniped, the listing getting sniped. That is so common. And this was recommended by his lawyer. Another thing, people recommend real estate agents all the time. I literally have no connection to either of them, and I'm biased. And if I'm biased, it's because all the wife responds to my group messages, and the husband rarely does. But the wife did feel comfortable enough to ask me for $1,000 to pay for a divorce lawyer. I politely declined. Honestly, these two have been headaches, but I've invested a bunch of time and money into this listing. I want to stop right there and just say, you invest a lot of time and money into a lot of things in real estate, and you just don't make money off of it. There's so many buyers that I've shown homes. There's so many listing presentations that I've done. There's so many listings that I've put up that maybe I didn't have the experience to list it at the correct price range, or maybe the seller's expectations were unrealistic, but they didn't get sold, and I spent, between $500 and $1,000. Buyers I've helped pay for their home inspections as well. This is part of real estate, and if you ever want to be a real estate agent who finds success, you got to realize a lot of your work's not going to get paid for, and the work that you do get paid for, you'll do typically well, but it levels out all the work that you don't get paid for. It's just like the simple truth of it. Honestly, these two have been headaches, but I've invested. Oh, okay. I told them I could refer them to another agent within my brokerage if they didn't. They said they had an agent they've agreed to use in a different brokerage, but to be honest, I'm not sure how she's neutral because I know they both have a past personal history with her. Our contract doesn't expire until mid-November, but I don't want to work with people that just don't want to work with me. What would you ask for a referral from the new agent or just let it go? So a lot of the stuff on this is like, it's always worth, maybe contact the new agent. Just be like, hey, look, this is the situation, would you be comfortable paying a referral fee or something? And if they don't, let it die pretty quickly. Maybe don't even contact them for the referral fee. Like, I know it stinks that you're losing that money, but on top of that, you made money off of the buy. If it was me, I'd probably just worry about it. Let it die, call it good, walk away. And it does lose me money. I think that my wife would disagree with that. I think my wife would try to recoup some funds from it. So to each their own on top of that. But that's all I got for you today. I don't need your likes or subscribes as much. I just need more stories. And I would like if you give me a comment on if you like this content or not, if you find it entertaining or not, that would be super great. So send me your stories. Let me know if you like this content or not. But other than that, thanks for watching. I hope you have a great day, and bye-bye now.